All right. Do you have your drink? I hope you have a drink.
Oh, God, it's right there.
Oh boy. Well,
Hold
go
on.
get it.
What?
Go get it.
What? Go
Go
get it.
get
Yeah.
it. This is the content members pay for.
This little glass.
Mm-hmm.
You see, it's an old apothecary antique
Oh, very
glass.
cool.
This is what I use to. I think it's going to be a funny talking point.
Well, I think since we're doing a nutritional off script, we should talk about what we're drinking. So, what do you got in the glass?
I'll talk about it when we get on then.
Oh, it's recording.
Oh, it is
Here, we'll count it in.
amazing. No, it's even better though. They should let it go.
All right, Sarah.
Um,
3, 2, 1. All right, everyone, welcome to Off Script. We just finished up with Jennifer Harrington and had a really wonderful conversation discussing nutrition and the importance of nutrition, not only for our patients, but also as a form of self care for burnout prevention and burnout recovery. So, John, what are you drinking today?
okay, so I think this is interesting. Anybody on that enjoys pharmacy would like this, but my parents always buy me antique things when they go to these little antique shops. But this is like an apothecary glass, and it's got the old symbols on it for ounces. And so I've got a tequila with some fresh lemon and some agave syrup. So it's like a little fresh margarita thing, but with lemon. It's nice.
I think the more impressive thing is that you whipped up a fresh mixed drink in like under a minute. Very impressive.
Yeah, it's. I wouldn't say it's a problem because I don't hardly ever drink anymore, so I can't even feel bad about it. I used to make drinks all the time for people coming over, and you know that. But
I know you've made some good ones.
yeah,
So on my end, I am drinking whiskey as per usual because the weather's cold and it is now brown liquor season. So it
yeah,
is a little bit ironic that we're both going for hard liquors after spending, an hour learning about how to be healthier. So
it takes a lot
let's
out of
talk.
you, really.
I know, right? Let's talk about the interview. So I thought that was great. And I know with some off scripts we've done different things, but I really thought today would be fun to just kind of reflect on the importance of nutrition and maybe talk about where we fall short. Because I think part of the theme that we talked about with Jennifer and even before then was that every healthcare professional probably is not doing as good as they preach to their patients in terms of their own nutrition.
Mm.
So I thought maybe it would be fun to just talk about where we're at with that. Do you want to go first or should I?
No, go ahead. I want to hear about what you need because my dog had something to say. You probably heard that, but no, I want to hear what you have to say about your nutrition first, so I can sound better than you. So go ahead,
It's all about the one-upsmanship.
sir.
So yeah, I think we talked about it a little bit in the episode, but I am definitely a guy with a sweet tooth. So that's my big issue is I like to have dessert. At night I want, a whiskey or a dessert or something to finish off the night. So I find myself doing, usually a pastry in the morning if I have breakfast. A lot of times I'll
Oh yeah.
skip breakfast, which is also not good. But then without fail at night, I usually have a nightcap or I'll have a dessert and a coffee. So
Mm.
that's my area that I think I'm falling short. I think for meals, I actually do okay. I still eat carbs. I'm not, going crazy with anything, but I do try and make sure that I'm eating enough vegetables, getting a decent amount of fiber. How about you?
So my downfall is late night. So I've got 4 kids like you, and my wife and I hang out, and then afterwards, I feel like I still need some alone time. So I just chill. I might read a book, I might watch something, but I will just eat whatever kid snacks I can find, and I get yelled at about it. There's no little Debbie snacks in this house, unfortunately, but I've been
It's too bad.
I've gotten the stare in the morning every once in a while where the box is empty and you gotta feed the kids and there's something put in the lunch and she goes, you couldn't find something else? I'm like, listen, Welch's fruit snacks sound amazing at 12 at night. So I need to get better at that part of it. But during the day, my eating is actually pretty good. I think it started with my wife when she was diagnosed with diabetes. We just started eating more balanced food. So she had told me about eating a fat, protein, a carb, and a vegetable. Like when the nutritionist told her to do that, she just started doing it. And de facto, I did too. And so my meals are very balanced. So I feel like throughout the day, if I remember to eat lunch, or a snack, things go really well until it's late at night. And um, yeah, I could get better. And they do say that if you eat like that during the day and you don't eat your calories, you will consume them at night. Like your body needs something, but then you just overdo it. So yeah,
Mm.
that needs to get better for me as well.
What I used to do, and it actually worked well, I'm actually maybe feeling inspired after this episode. I used to try and limit myself to just one meal or intake of carb per day.
Hmm.
So if I had, a pastry and a coffee for breakfast, then I would try and do just a salad and a protein for lunch and
Hmm.
try and avoid having more carbs than just one meal. And I think that worked well, not necessarily because it was overly restrictive, but it just forced me to be intentional and have discipline of, if I want to have a dessert at night, then I'm going to do yogurt for breakfast and not, a muffin. So
Mm.
I think that was something that worked well for me. I've gotten away from it though. Work has been busy and COVID has made things tough, and I'm definitely not doing as good as I should.
We we were tracking with many different diets. I don't know, they weren't fad diets, but I used to work out with a guy from work, and he taught me all about nutrition and bodybuilding. And I wasn't bodybuilding; I just wanted to put on muscle. And so we would eat 1.5 to 2 grams per kilogram of what body weight. So you would try to consume. I mean, you're looking at over 100 grams of protein in the day, trying to fit that in and making sure low carb. And I would work out fasted because your HCG is higher at that time, and so you're going to get a better muscle response and growth. And so I was very intentional during those times. But if you aren't intentional, you're going to drift to what
Mm,
is easy and comfortable. And with burnout, because that's what we were focusing on, we we find coping skills, so positive or negative coping skills. And whether it's, people might smoke a joint at the end of the day or have a drink at the end of the day. Some people will eat food at the end of the day as a coping skill or coping mechanism. And I'm not saying that that is, any of those things are necessarily wrong, but uh, you, if you're not intentional about it and intentionally trying to find other coping mechanisms, uh, go. I mean, that's probably not good for you. Now, I said joint being, wrong, but I mean, the medical community is going to be split on that anyways with the new research coming out. But what I was really just trying to mention was that we all have coping skills, whatever it is, and some of our negative and some are positive. And nutrition seems to be generally a negatively handled, I guess.
mhm,
I don't know how
mhm.
you want to fit that in, but.
Well, let me give you an example. So I do a lot of consulting, and a lot of times when I'm consulting or giving educational talks, I travel. And it's nice because when I travel, I'm usually, doing so on a company dime. So I'm not paying for my expenses. So my meals get reimbursed.
Mhm.
And I could, go somewhere healthy. I could eat a salad, but when I'm traveling, when I'm in a rental car driving 400 miles across, the state of Alabama in the day, I'm eating McDonald's for lunch.
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
getting an egg McMuffin for breakfast. I'm
Mhm.
eating absolute crap. And I think the reason for it is not a lack of time usually. I could, just as easily go to a better place and, get takeout still that is healthier, but it tastes good, it's comforting, it's delicious. I
Dopamine
know
rush.
tastes good. Right, yeah, it tastes good and
Mhm.
delicious are two separate things there. Yes, I'm aware. But yes, I think it's a perfect example where I'm busy and
Mhm.
I'm coping with the busyness by eating junk because the junk makes me feel good.
Yeah.
And just as easily, it's not even that much more effort. I could be eating something healthier. I could go to Panera and get a salad, and I recognize that the salads there are probably fat laden with dressing and stuff too. But I could make more effort, and yet I choose the Big Mac because the Big Mac makes me happy, even though in the
Mhm.
long run that's probably having more harm than good.
Yeah, ooh, it makes you
Mhm,
happy.
mhm.
So chasing dopamine rush, chasing, that high of feeling like, "Oh, at least I'm comfortable in the situation right now." I mean, I felt bad, but now I feel something fed my soul or whatever
It does feed my
food can do for
soul.
you. It
Give
does,
me that
right?
Big Mac. We had Chick-fil-A for lunch today, and it fed my soul. It definitely did.
Yeah, it's when you take those coping skills or mechanisms, because that's probably not a skill that you should be practicing eating like that, but if you're just taking it as life comes and you don't have a plan, you're going to make it easy to choose the wrong thing. And you don't want to trust your willpower in the time that you are weakest. That's
I,
in
I
every part of life, but
I was just going to say anything in life, if you're not intentional about it, it's going
mhm,
to be difficult to make good habits.
mhm.
Because I think a lot of times the good things in life require discipline, they require some effort. And if we're not intentional, then it's going to be very difficult for us to put that effort in.
So to wrap this up, really, this conversation about nutrition and how we can handle it on the outside is if you are struggling with burnout or you're consistently feeling a certain way, you need to try different things. What you've been doing all along hasn't worked, so try something else. And nutrition is going to be a big part of it. It's always said nutrition and sleep is probably the biggest part of anybody's anxiety or their ability to cope with life situations. So I don't think this is a call to make some like buy, like to sell some sort of nutritional product at this point because we have nothing to sell. It's more just if you're ready to make a change, this is one way that you can do it.
Yeah, I've got a quote for you that I think
Mm.
really sums this up. So it's from the English philosopher Bertrand Russell, and it's
Yeah, man.
the chains of habit are too light to be felt until they're too heavy to be broken.
Hmm.
And I
Yep.
like that because I think so much in life, whether it be exercise, whether it be nutrition, just any aspect of self care, we need to really be intentional about making it habitual. And
Hmm.
hopefully, that's something that doesn't actually take a lot of effort on a day to day basis. It may take some effort, but not a ton until that becomes a habit that is hard to break. And I think that's really the call to action from us, from Jennifer, based on this
Hmm.
episode is we know, we're both clinical, we're both, working every day, we're in the trenches, and we know how hard it is to be intentional about nutrition. And yet, we just spent the past hour learning about how important it is and how it can really help with mental wellness, with burnout, with overall well-being. So, yeah, I think just everybody that's listening to this, be intentional, maybe do some self-reflection on what your nutrition looks like and maybe look for some of that low-hanging fruit to try and improve your nutrition in the next few weeks.
And one last thing about Jennifer is she is, as you heard in the podcast, um, she is part of a fellowship now that she is working on this project regarding nutrition. And so we're going to be posting a poll on her behalf.
Hmm.
And when she collects that data and she analyzes it, she'll be releasing it and we'll be sharing that for you guys as well. So we'll post it along with the episode when it's up and it should be in the show notes. So go ahead and find that survey link there and fill it out for her. And we're excited about giving the results when they come through.
Awesome. Well, John, I figured let's shift focus a little bit and let's talk about maybe what we have coming up on the horizon for White Coats. I feel like the Patreon
Oh, yeah.
side is where we can maybe do some inside baseball, some behind the scenes, and share with our members what we're working on and what's coming down the pike.
Yeah, so we've been talking about non-clinical or non-traditional career paths for a while and making that jump. And it's kind of this podcast is what birthed how we've been carrying on all along. So through that time, we've been able to start building some resources. We've started working on our testimonial releases, and we've held off on releasing any of those at this time because uh, it's growing. This is going great, but we've had more opportunities come up where we get to share our mission and our vision for what we want to bring to the table for our colleagues out there. So, Mike, why don't you tell them about the upcoming uh, hosting event that we're going to be able to be a part of? You and I are going to be able to
Yeah.
co-speak.
So John and I are presenting at an upcoming conference for the topic is alternate careers or non-clinical careers for PAs. So it's been a great opportunity for John and I to really sit down and dive into the available resources out there for non-clinical careers. And we were able to actually identify over 50 non-clinical careers that are good options for PAs, for NPs, pharmacists, RNs, MDs, DOs. And it's amazing because I think we may think just off the top of our head, how many non-clinical options are there? And
Mhm.
you probably can come up with three, maybe five, educator, maybe health tech. There's some that come to mind that would be obvious industry. but
Hmm.
there are so many opportunities, and a lot of these opportunities are not, go work in an MLM,
Hmm.
but rather actual jobs where your clinical skill set, your clinical training is essential to you having success or progressing in your career.
Mm.
So it's going to be really fun, not only to give this presentation. I'm sure we'll share, some aspects of the presentation, maybe some parts of the slide deck on LinkedIn or on our socials. But we've been able to just put in this immense amount of research for this presentation, which now will then translate into subsequent episodes. So after we finish up this burnout series, we're probably going to shift focus and start doing some episodes on non-clinical careers and just start highlighting some different options for people. As we're doing that, we're also going to be looking for more job opportunities when we identify or come across in our networking opportunities for, various non-clinical jobs. We're going to make sure to share those with our patrons. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't think with the podcast we're necessarily going to be too, adherent to having themes of, these next 5 episodes are going to be this or these next are going to be
Right.
that. But I do think it has been fun over these past 3 episodes to stick with the theme and kind of build on it and have almost like a
Hmm.
crawl, walk, run model. So
Yeah.
yeah, what are your thoughts on the upcoming presentation and the non-clinical side of things?
Well, I think that anybody who's looking to make a jump or is at least curious about it, the hurdle that everybody needs to overcome and what they have a problem with is the thought that what can I possibly offer, or I'm going to have to make up time or go educate myself in this area before I dive in. When in reality, what we've come up with, or what we've had help as well, because there's a lot of others in the community that are really trying to promote the idea of finding your passion and work that you can grow further than what you're doing currently, uh, is that you're a subject matter expert in your field, whether you believe it or not. Somebody who is, I mean, for instance, starting some sort of a tech firm where they've got a new product they're trying to um, sell nationally, and it might be on EMRs, and you might be an expert in something like Epic, and you've worked with Epic teams, or you've been able to help grow the platform to use third party software systems. You might be a well paid consultant or somebody that they want to pull on full time to start uh, consulting doctor's offices or maybe hospital administration. Maybe you're comfortable talking to C-suite level folks. There's just so many skills that you have that can be directly placed in a different field, and you might be happier. And honestly, with the burnout, if it's not directly in direct patient care, you might be you might feel a little bit more wanted in your place of work, or feel like you might deserve where you're at. You might have a better outlook of yourself. That's what I'm looking forward to most.
Here are the two takeaways that I have. The two things that have, become apparent to me, and we've been talking about non-clinical jobs. You and I have both done consulting and some aspect of non-clinical work throughout the years. But as I've been researching and really diving into the side of things, the two things that stick out to me is A, that there is an immense opportunity for non-clinical work as side hustles or part-time work.
Hmm.
Because I think one of the barriers for people is they hate their job, but they're terrified of the idea of leaving something that they spent years and years training to do, maybe taking a pay cut to go into a non-clinical role and not knowing if they would like it, not knowing if they'll succeed at it. And in my opinion, that really shouldn't be a fear, because what we've learned through our research is there's just incredible opportunity a lot of times to do consulting gigs that are going to be a very short duration of time or maybe just a few hours, where you can
Hmm.
build your CV, you can network, but then you can also test the waters and figure out if you like it. Medical writing is a great example. I actually just picked up another gig writing an editorial for a website on, for bipolar depression. And I don't really do a ton of medical writing. It is an area of consulting that I've been wanting to expand into. So I'm excited. It'll be great because it'll be an opportunity for me to kind of test the waters and see if it's worthwhile. The other thing that I think I've learned from this is that but the other thing is that you don't necessarily need an MBA to go into administration. You don't need tons of specialized training. And there's going to be non-clinical roles that do require you to have some sort of specialized skill set. But in
Hmm.
today's day and age, there is so much opportunity for non formal schooling, whether it be MOOCs, which are, massive online open source courses, which are free usually, Coursera, LinkedIn Learning, things like that. There's incredible opportunities to build a CV, build your skill set that shows this is the field I want to be in without spending a dime on additional training or education. And I
Hmm.
think so often we think about that of, oh, if I want to go into this role, I'm going to have to go get my master's in public health. Or if I want to do this, I'm going to have to go get an MBA. And maybe that was true 20 or 30 years ago, but it's changed where I think more and more, especially in non traditional healthcare roles, people are going to be way more accepting of whatever skill set you bring in, not necessarily what your piece of paper says of what your degree is.
So I'm going to butt in here for a second. So when you do end up having those conversations after you've done some of this side gig work, uh, you're not going to be just sending in resumes cold to a ton of different like application websites. You're going to find somebody who works in that industry, hopefully somebody who actually works at that corporation, and then you're going to get a referral from them to the hiring manager, and you're going to be able to submit your resume right to them. So you, like you mentioned before, the MBA or the health administration master's degrees that you can go and get. Yeah, if you're going in cold, it's gonna pop up a little faster for them. It might track in their ATS systems a little bit better, but we're not doing that anymore. I think in the future we're going to talk about how you actually apply for a position or how you network step by step, because you don't waste your time if you are a great speaker or you're a people person and you've done great work in multiple different areas, then just speaking with the hiring manager is going to go a lot further than taking a year or two to go get a degree. It's probably not worth it
Hmm.
for a lot of people.
Right. Yeah.
But that's kind of what I wanted to go into is, and we'll finish with this, is that you do some of those side gig jobs, and I've experienced this as well, where you will get referrals cold calling you, asking you to do
Mhm.
more work for them. You don't really have to do a lot of outreach once you've done some good work. And that's where the fun stuff starts happening. I think even with us, Mike, we weren't looking for a lot of the people that we're starting to work with. We are expecting to have to reach out to everybody all the time and try and figure out who we're going to have on next, what we're going to talk about. But things start coming naturally to you when you're passionate about what you do and you're committed to having good content. Um, I heard your tummy growl there a little bit
I was
there,
wondering if
Mike.
you could hear that.
Oh yeah,
It's
that picked up nice.
I've got some dessert waiting for me as we're talking about nutrition.
Well, hey, listen, I'll wrap it up here then and say that we always love talking to new people, and if you want to come on and talk to us about what you've done, if we haven't already talked about it or have an idea, reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you about it. So, outside of that, you know that this is the Off Script podcast, and we hope that you took a listen to Jennifer's uh, interview with us on White Coats of the Round Table. But you're already here. You're already a subscriber to Patreon, so we thank you for that. We hope that you've been able to like, share, and even give us a review. I'm not going to say what Mike says because that's his little shtick. I just assume that you like what we're doing, so you keep listening. So please throw us a review, and we hope to see you on LinkedIn when we post this, and we'll talk to you on over there. So everybody, until next time, uh, I'm John McDonald. We got Mike Asback here. We'll see you later.